party. Our next speaker is called Damien.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk about the open decision framework, as you can see. Please, a big round of applause.
Thanks a lot. Do I speak enough loud for everyone? Okay. So this is about how to make everybody happy. Spoiler alert, you can't. So a little bit about me. My name is Damien. I'm not a designer. I'm a database guy. And there's somewhat a long journey that bring me here. My story is that I founded a PostgreSQL consulting company. Anybody here using Postgres? Oh yeah. Okay, cool. And so I'm also, I'm kind of a director of a 30 people company, and I'm also involved in the Postgres community. So I've got this two mind on two spaces. If you want more about me, just check out my GitHub account. So my story, we actually started like a kind of joke. We should make a company and do open source. And so we did, let's make a company like we make open source. So yeah, clear principles that you all know, transparency, open discussion, working remotely, resource structure, etc., etc., etc. So on paper, it looked really, really good. When I explain this to people, they say, oh, wow, this is cool. Until they come to us, to our company, and they realize our decision workflow looks like this. No, actually, we don't throw fishes at each other, but anyway, it's pretty much like this. So problems. Well, consensus does not scale. You know, when you grow the group, it's harder to get everybody on the same page and everybody agreed on the same questions. Something you see on open source communities is that, yeah, meetings and meetings and meetings, or, which is not better, hundreds of emails. We reached a point where we would meet like 2 hours, and at the end of the meeting, we were not even able to agree on if we had decided something. So we had people going out of the meeting saying, okay, we need to discuss this next time, and some people saying, okay, this was a good meeting. And so, total mess. This leads to someone which is more problematic, which is silent disapproval, which is terrible actually, because at some point people are so bored with the meetings that just stop talking, because yeah, they don't trust the process anymore, and yeah, they say, okay, let them talk, and we'll do what we want afterwards. And also, you have to realize that at some point, not taking a decision is a decision. And you have people that are very skilled at the idea. If they don't want a decision, they are very, they can make sure that no decision will be made. So here comes the open decision framework. So it's not something I came up with. It's developed by Red Hat. It's published on GitHub. So I will give the link at the end. It was published last year, but I guess it's from back. It's a long process for them to write this. And what we did is just we translated it in French. Okay, so which is, by the way, a great way to contribute to open source. If you don't know where to start, just start translating in your own language. It's a nice idea, easy to start. And so we forked this open decision framework to make our own decision framework. So I think I need there to be clear that I have no relationship with Red Hat, and I'm not, anything I'm going to say is in any way, of course, related to their vision of it. It's my vision of it. It's how we use it, of course. So let's start by a definition. What is an open decision? Well, for another audience, I would spend more time on this. But yeah, if you're here, you already know what are the open source principles: transparency, inclusive, user-centric. Yeah, just keep this in mind all along the decision process. So what is it? It's just 4 steps, actually. When I saw that, actually, my first thought was, this is vaporware. This is just, it's too easy. I mean, it looks too simple. But when we translated it, we found that there were principles and little ideas in every steps that are really, really helpful and powerful, actually. So, first step, concept, define, plan, ideate. Just start with asking a few questions. What's the problem? What the problem is? How we will make the decision? Do we need to vote on this? Do we need, I don't know, some kind of simple agreement or anything? Do we need lawyers to review the decision, etc., etc.? Find who's likely to disagree, who's likely to reject this decision from the start, and people that are likely to opt out. You already know when you start tackling a problem that there are people that maybe don't want you to go there. Maybe people that have already tried to do this. So this is basically build a clear roadmap for your process. The first one is a tricky one, because I found it incredibly difficult to state the problem within 1 or 2 sentences. Actually, it's very complicated. And yeah, it can be revealing. And so, yeah, you get potential frameworks along the way. So this first step is here to avoid these frameworks afterwards. Okay? So communication channels, where we will discuss. Will it be public or not? Is it on IRC? Is it on, I don't know, mailing list? Or is it on a forum? Do we need to do video calls or not? I don't know. Will be the video calls recorded or not? And of course, deadlines, because some people, when they have a problem, they want you to fix it right away. Some people want to, calm down the things a little bit. So yeah, be very clear from the start how you want to go. Phase 2. Sorry. So again, questions. Let's go back then. Let's see who already tried to solve this, what they tried, what they did. Let's look at it. Maybe there's another problem beyond this problem. It's a very common scheme. And yet, you get user feedback. You go to people and try to understand what is the problem. And again, you try to identify all the different kinds of people that are involved in this problem. This is clearly the most difficult part because, and this is common, but especially in tech people and open source people, they have a tendency to rush to the solution, to rush to the tools, to say, okay, let's just use this tool, it's perfect and everything. For instance, if I ask this question about a project of mine and I say, okay, I have problem managing my bug submissions. Yeah, lots of people will go and add me and say, okay, just use GitHub issues or GitLab or whatever ticket system there is. But that's not exactly what my question. And you need to take your time and embrace complexity. I really liked the presentation before because it was about that, There's this principle in open source which says keep it simple, but the solution must be simple. But you must not have a simple view on reality. Reality is complex. Humans are complex. Humans are not binary machines. So do not be afraid of complexity. And of course, maintain a safe environment, so let people talk and don't judge them for what they have to say. And of course, take your time to explore the problem. You know, just don't rush to the solution. Take your time, explore all the problem and all the complexity of it. Okay, design, test, develop. So, yeah, just now you have put the problem in place. Just imagine, what if we had unlimited access to any kind of money? What if we were like 10 years ago? What if, I don't know, what if we start from scratch, etc., etc. A lot of these ideas, you're going to throw them away, but in the process of this, you will find some, other ideas on stuff. And also, again, identify people that will be early adopters and people that will give you feedbacks on your prototypes. So this is the fun part, because you try to build a prototype, whatever that means. You're going to search for alternatives, you're going to do some testing, etc., etc. And in the end, you simplify and reduce the options. And also prepare an escape plan because you might fail. So that's at this point, you might also want to say, what if it fails? It's interesting to think about this ahead of time. And in the end, launch, deploy, close. So pretty much like a development process when you putting your code in production. Just like that, you will ask your question about, well, did we answer the initial question? So a lot of time we realize that we have maybe spent 4 hours of meetings, and at the end we found a great solution, but it's not the solution for the question. And it's really, really common. How do we monitor the impact of our decision? How do we know if our decision will fail or be a success? How do we make revision based on feedback? So our decision will have an impact on people, so we will receive feedback, and what will we do with this? What will we leave to the future generation? We have found something, so maybe later other people can use what we've done here, and also what have we learned. And yes, just take a rendezvous for, 6 months, 1 year later, sit back again and just look back to what we have done. So again, very simple things, but be proud. It's difficult to take a decision. It's very difficult, especially in a decentralized environment where a lot of people have strong opinions. It's very difficult to cut it and come up with something. So tell the story. I have experienced that when you take a very difficult decision, people will accept it more if you explain that you have spent hours and hours of meetings, if you have spent lots of prototypes and everything. If people can understand how much you have worked to get this decision, they will accept it, even if that's not their solution that has been chosen. And contribute upstream, which means, maybe again, you may have learned some things along the way, so push that back to other people. And stay engaged with people who reject the decision. Again, you can't make everyone happy, but don't act like you have won and other people have lost, because in the end, maybe they were right, maybe you were wrong, maybe you took the wrong decision. And maybe in 6 months, when you realize you failed, you will be happy to come back at them and say, okay, we had this idea, it failed, you were right, can you help us fixing it? And if you act like you have won and they have lost, they will probably laugh at you, say, I told you so, and wash their hands. If you stay engaged with them, saying, okay, I know you have this issue, I know you have this critic, we are monitoring it, we're following on it, it helps. So in practice, we use this framework for 1 year now. We used it in 6 different work groups, especially for marketing decision, which is kind of hard because on the 30 people in the company. We have like, I said 20 database guys, so not people really accustomed to marketing. And each steps took, like from 1 to 4 hours. Each group was very small. And some people didn't like the framework. Found it was a bit messy. And others really liked it. And especially for newcomers in the company, it was really, really easier to get involved because there is a clear path. You know where you're going. You know when you can contribute. So yeah, it worked. We solved a particular problem that was bothering everyone for the last 5 years. Really, something, the big problems. Everyone knows about it. Nobody knows what to do about it. We've solved that. And we found a compromise in another situation. We had two very opposite groups who say, we want A, and the other group say, we want B. And so it's kind of stuck in some clueless opposition. And we found some compromise, and it really worked well. And of course, it failed. And on some other decision we made, because it's not magic. But the idea is that they failed fast, and I wouldn't stress enough the importance of failing fast. Yeah, you need to fail fast, learn, and go back at it. And so instead of getting stuck on decision we can do, we did something, and we learned by failing, and we tried other things. So yeah. So I'm not telling you to do what we did. I'm just telling you to do your own decision framework in your community or in your company. So obviously Red Hat has done it, published it on GitHub. You have GitLab that has a great handbook that I would recommend, and they have a page on leadership too. And also Valve, the game computing company, which has a very interesting concept called Cabal. I don't have time to talk about this, but all 3 links are really, very worth it. And yeah, hack your company. I'm really interested I spent 10 years being at the same time the director of a company and at the same time a community member. And I'm very interested of what open source principle can do for corporate management, because the actual state of corporate management is garbage, to be polite. I go in a lot of clients that I won't name, of course, but yeah, most of the corporate management practices I see are just mostly inhuman and just disrespectful for people. So we have a common ground of open source principles that we can use to put inside our own companies. So obviously a company is not an open source project, but yeah, we can do some. We can use a lot of this in our daily jobs. And that's it. And at the end, everyone is happy. Thank you. That's all. So this is.
We do have a few minutes for questions.
Great.
That's okay? Yeah.
Now, by the way, this is a bit new for me. I do most database talks. So if you can take a few times to give me feedback on what I did, it'd be great.
First of all, interesting, insightful. In step 3, you said that, so that was the design, test, develop step. You said that you shouldn't, you should consider if there are alternatives in this. So I understand that while it's necessary, I mean, while you're developing, deploying stuff, so get in there, you shouldn't stop looking left and right. But doesn't that kind of reopen the gray area of reopen the whole decision kind of, and isn't that kind of
Yeah, the question is, if I understand, is that on step 3, when you search for alternative, you can reopen questions that you have should have closed in the previous steps. Yeah, this is a common mistake. Obviously, this is, if I would say if you did your jobs on this part, on the complexity, it doesn't really happen because the problem have been really clearly stated. So, yeah, again, this is a very important part of it. Let complexity be, and I'd say it's a risk, but yeah, you need to prepare for that before, I think. But it's okay. You can go back. I mean, it's not like you failed your own process if you want to go back. I mean, you can realize that, okay, we missed that part of the problem that we didn't explore. And looking at this solution showed us that, yeah, we must go back. It's okay to go back. Yeah. What
were the changes that you made to the original after 14?
Okay, but first we translated in French, so as long as you translate it, it's not exactly the same. And then we kind of, we have our own handbook, so we changed the format and we simplified a bit the content so that it can be included in our handbook, which hopefully should be open source in a few months. We have a decision on this too. So yeah, mostly adapting things, and yeah, some things on phase 1, phase 2. There are some items we moved from one phase to another, but really it's not that big deal. We pretty much stick to the thing. Yeah.
You talked at the end that you had a big divide between two groups of people, and you found a consensus. Isn't there a risk?
Well, not a consensus. That's important too.
Yes, that was my question. Because sometimes if you find a consensus, then it happens that both groups are unhappy because they both have to concede at key points.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that was that one. Yeah. We don't. Consensus doesn't scale, so we don't try to reach consensus at all costs. What we want is to recognize that some people are against this decision, and acknowledge that, and being able to go back at them if we need. But instead of everybody is okay with the decision, what we want is everybody can live with it. It's not the same thing. You can say, okay, I'm not okay at all with what you're doing, but I can live with it. You know, it's not against my principle. It's just a bad idea, but I will continue to say it's a bad idea, but I can live with it. It's very different from consensus. Yeah.
With this new model, in my understanding, a lot of similarities with project management.
Sorry.
It has a lot of similarities with project management
Yeah.
ideas. So did you use this for decision making or project management? Like, for example, in case of your using, is there a difference?
Yeah. So the question is, it's similar to project management, and did we use it for project management? Not really. We don't do project management the way people would think we are, because we're not a really project-based company. We're not a developing company. We're much a support company, consulting company, training company. So there's not that much of projects inside the company. But we did use it here for big projects, big decisions that can be, looked at from outside, like projects here. Yeah.
So you need some kind of problem.
Yeah, everything starts with a problem and someone able to state the problem clearly, which is not simple. So a lot of, no problem. A lot of people are sometimes very unhappy with their situation, and they have a lot of problem to express the real problematic behind it. So this is where phase 2 is important, to help give them confidence, let them talk, and give them the time to explain what is their problem behind the simple expression of unhappiness. Sorry.
Sorry, we're out of time.
Thanks a lot.